I'm Jenny from Life Cycle Physiotherapy. Today we're talking about breathing in the postpartum period. Now this may seem like a bit of a strange topic. Why do you need to learn how to breathe? Well, the reasons can be because during pregnancy and after you've had your baby, quite often the mechanics of breathing can change. So during pregnancy, as your belly expands, obviously the abdominal muscles get stretched out, but it can also affect your diaphragm, which is the main breathing muscle that sits up underneath your rib cage, and the rib cage itself can get pushed out, and the diaphragm gets pushed upward. Now that can change the whole mechanics of breathing, and that's understandable while you're pregnant, but quite often those changes will keep on going on after you've had your baby as well. It's quite common to see women postpartum who are very forward with their chest, so often will stick their chest out, creating more of an arch in the low back. That can create some postural pain through the low back area and the lower rib cage area as well. And then quite often when they're holding their baby and supporting the baby there, that will accentuate that posture even further. So let's look at how you can identify these problems and address that as well. We're going to come down to the mat. First of all, just feel where your back is contacting the mat. So we should be able to feel that there's contact through the back of the head with just a small curve in the neck. And then that most of the rib cage can actually contact the mat as well. There should just be a small curve where the low back is, and then your pelvis and sacrum contacting the mat as well. Now quite often, if you're tending to push the chest forward and flare the rib cage, you'll notice that there's a bigger gap under the back. So quite a lot of women who've got that problem will find that they're more in that position, where the rib cage is lifting up, the upper rib cage is still in contact with the mat, but the lower rib cage is not. So in this position, see if you can actually sink your rib cage down into the mat and try and contact the majority of that rib cage with the mat underneath you. Some women will do that by tucking their pelvis right back and flattening the back like that. So try not to do that, keep your pelvis where it is and just sink those ribs down into the mat. Imagine your mat was made of plasticine and you could really create an imprint in that mat with your rib cage. Soften the ribs down and maintain a little curve in the low back so you're not flattening that low back. Now once you're there, let's feel where that breathing pattern is coming from. So if we place one hand just below your breasts on the lower part of your rib cage, one hand down on the belly, and just have a feel which area is moving as you're breathing. Again, a lot of women who have that rib flaring will notice there's a big movement in their rib cage as they breathe in. So the rib cage pushes forward as they breathe in, and they may notice it again arches off the mat underneath them, and then it will sink back down as they breathe out. Let's see if we can change that a little bit. So see if we can get most of that rise down in your lower belly. So as you breathe in, you should feel a rise of the low belly. And then as you breathe out, the low belly sinks again. So a rise of that low belly on the breath in, and then falling on the breath out. Now if you're doing that belly breathing pattern, you're actually using your diaphragm, because our diaphragm sinks downwards into the rib cage and the upper part of your tummy as you breathe in, and that will cause the tummy to rise, and then the diaphragm will rise back up again with the breath out, which will cause your tummy to fall. So if you're getting that rise and fall of your tummy, you're using a diaphragmatic breathing pattern. You can also check what's going up in the rib cage. So if you place your hands on the side of the rib cage, you should be able to feel a sideways expansion of your ribs as you breathe in, and then sinking back in as you breathe out. And there will be a slight forward movement of your rib cage, but it shouldn't be the predominant movement. The reason why this is important is that when we come to doing some abdominal work lying on your back, if you are really flaring that rib cage up, it makes it very hard to connect those abdominals and work well with those abdominals because you're already putting them on a lot of stretch. So it's not going to function as effectively. So if we can get that rib cage sinking down, get that better breathing pattern, we get better engagement of our core muscles in particular, so deep abdominals, pelvic floor, we're using that diaphragmatic breathing pattern, and we can get better engagement through our abdominals. Now you may also want to check that up in sitting. So if you're sitting up, again getting good posture with the body, you want to centre the rib cage over the top of the pelvis, And again, you can place one hand on your chest, one hand on your belly, and feel where that breath is coming from. So again, we want to notice a rise of the low belly and fall. So rising on the breath in, falling on the breath out, and not so much movement through the chest. So we shouldn't mainly be feeling a big rise and fall of the chest. Some sideways movement of the ribs again is acceptable, so letting those ribs move out to the side on the breath in and coming back in on the breath out, but not so much forward movement with the rib cage. So these are things you can have a try of at home. Hope you enjoy those, and please feel free to contact me at Life Cycle Physio if you have any questions. Thank you.